why we're more susceptible to getting a cold when we're out in the cold. And that's because the mucus in our noses, which are along with the hairs in our noses, are what stop some of the germs and bacteria, whatever it is, from entering into our lungs. So when we're outside and our nose starts to run, we're losing some of the protection with the mucus being blown out. So, you know, just like a little thing. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't go out. We do need to go out. But just be sure that when you get back home, you know, that obviously you'll notice that your nose stops running in a bit, and then you've got that protection again. Because truly, the nose is not just a distinguishing factor on our fabulous faces. It has a real job to do. So there you go. Now, interestingly too, that exercise is becoming the latest prescription from the medical establishment, who now recognize that exercise can do a whole lot of what some prescriptions do, especially like things like high blood pressure, even people with diabetes. I mean, if you can exercise your pancreas, your liver, your spleen, your adrenals, and we do in every class, well, let's face it, maybe you don't need the prescription. I'm not a doctor, but doctors are now prescribing exercise for people, and I personally know some people. I'm glad to hear their doctors saying this. So to that end, today I wanted to focus on our shoulders because, as I said at the beginning, just before I went live, that everything we pretty much do is in forward flexion. And having our shoulders always forward and our arms always forward and the rounding of the back has some long-term effects on our breathing, so our respiration, our ability to fill our lungs because they're being compressed, and the spine can suffer after a long time of damage of being in that forward flexion. So we're going to do some gentle movements this morning to open them up, and then we're going to do a little bit of practice on something that I have never taught in the class before, but and I'm not great at it, but we're all going to learn together and strengthen ourselves. And you know, the other thing about exercise, obviously finding something you enjoy, because if you don't like yoga or whatever it is that you're doing, you're not going to do it. But I presume that since you're here with me now, that you understand the benefits and you feel them, you notice them. And the more we do practice, you don't have to practice a lot, but a little more than once a week will probably give you a lot more benefits. Just a little more exercise, a lot more benefits. Who doesn't want that? And I think I also said in a note that when it comes to avoiding the proclivities, that's probably the wrong word, but my friend Jane, if she's watching, will correct me later, or maybe one of you will. I had vagaries at first, but that's not the right word either. Things about old age where we become frail, we become fearful, we lose our functional independence, our cognition can go down, and social connectivity. All of these things are important, and all of these things are addressed in this class. And you know, everyone I know here is pretty darn friendly. So if you feel like, gee, I'd like to meet a new person, hi, my name's Florence. What's yours? You know what I mean? And remember what it was like to be a little kid. You didn't even have to ask somebody's name. You just said, you want to play with me? You know? So I hope that we can remember our inner child and curiosity and have fun, okay? That was my little idea about Trump going to Mars. It just seemed like a fun idea. Bye. Have a good time. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Trump. You're probably a good person in some ways. I just haven't found him yet. All righty. So let's start on our backs. And actually, no, I want you to sit actually on your meditation cushion, if you have one, or a block, if you have one. So upper back, shoulders, neck, all pretty much connected. And we're going to start with our necks. And I just want to mention a couple of muscles in the back. The trapezius muscle is a wide triangle that goes from the bottom of your skull down by your shoulder blades and your spine and out to the edges of your shoulders. So I would love to have a skeleton or something, and one of these days I'm going to go to U of T and see if I can get something, because if I had the pictures, you would know what I'm talking about. And then the rhomboids are smaller muscles. They go underneath your trapezius. They're all along they start near the bottom of your cervical spine, but they attach inside your scapula. And I don't know about you, but I can get a lot of tension in that area. Could be playing the piano or doing something. So today, these are the muscles that we're really focusing on. All right, so sitting up as tall as you can. If you want to sit on something, the whole point here is that you want to keep your spine strong. It works your core. If you bring yourself to the edge of whatever you're sitting on, it helps to open up the hips a little bit, as opposed to just perching yourself on top. That doesn't quite accomplish. So bringing yourself to the edge of the cushion and then relaxing your shoulders. Reaching the crown of your head upwards. You can close your eyes for a moment. You don't need to have them open. And just let your hands rest on your thighs, lifting up at your sternum, releasing your shoulders down away from your ears. Letting your shoulder blades, your scapulas, even slide down your back. And then what we're going to do is gently tilt the head back, gently. And if you want, you can open your eyes and look up at the ceiling. And you're isolating. Nothing else is moving except your head. So this is stretching some muscles in the front of the neck called scalenes. Most of the time our head's not back. Most of the time our head is pitched forward, like a chicken or something. And then bring your head back to neutral. Inhaling in place. Exhale, turn your head to the right. And then lift your nose and your head up again. So now we're stretching the scalene muscles on the left side of the neck. Exhale, lower down, and come back to the center. Inhaling in place. Exhale, twist to the other side, gently, never forcing. And then again, lift your nose, your chin up. Breathing all the while. So stretching the scalene now on the left side, and come back to the center. And exhale, breathe in wherever you are. One more time, we're going to lift the nose, the eyes, if they're open or closed, you can look up at the ceiling. Don't force, be gentle. Stretching the scalene muscles in the front, articulating the cervical vertebra, the 7 vertebrae of our necks. Come back to center. Now, the chin tuck. It's not pretty, but it's really good for lining up. And if we were going to use a wall, and I do like the idea of using a wall sometimes, if you were standing up against a wall, your feet would be about 3 inches, your heels about 3 inches away from the wall, and you would press the back of your head, your shoulder blades, maybe your bum into the wall. So imagine you are pressing the back of your head into a wall. It may give you a double chin. Nobody's taken your pictures, so no worries here. You're bringing your chin in. So it's called a chin tuck. You're not lowering it. You're bringing it in. That now activates and strengthens the scalene muscles in the front of your neck. But you can also feel this in your traps, your trapezius muscles. And release. And take a breath. In and out. And one more time, let's do another chin tuck. So you're pulling your chin back. You're going to feel this in your trap muscles. The scalenes are much smaller muscles in the front of the neck, but they're being activated. The traps mostly just get stretched out with the head forward. And releasing. Let's take the arms behind the back, interlock the fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together. So there are 3 bones that really constitute the shoulder. And releasing. If you take your right hand and grab hold of your left shoulder, the heel of your hand is resting on your collarbone. So really key to the shoulder joint. The humerus, the upper arm bone, and then what you're holding on with your fingers, when you think you're grabbing your shoulder, you're actually palpating, feeling, I'll bend here, the spine of the scapula. That's the shoulder blade. So scapula is the anatomical term. And release. And let's just go over to the other side with your arm. Again, you're grabbing the shoulder, but more likely your hands are actually touching the spine of your scapula. So that's a triangular bone in the back, the shoulder blade, your collarbone, and your humerus. That makes up your shoulder. Now, the good news is we have incredible mobility in this ball and socket joint. Next week, we're going to talk about the hip, because that's another ball and socket joint. Those are the only 2 ball and socket joints. And they are supported by ligaments, tendons, muscles. Rotator cuff issues are typically an issue. So this is something that we're going to do this morning that will be preventative and helpful for strengthening and creating more stability in the shoulder joint. So now we're going to come into cat-cow, but it's going to be just a little bit different. And the difference in this is, and then again, this is why I asked if you have a knee cushion or you can fold your mat over in half. You're going to, if you can, you're going to curl your toes under, and you're going to shift your hips a little bit back. And the reason we're shifting the hips back is so that we can get more into the upper part of the body. Normally we do cat-cow. We're focusing on the entire spine. Take your hips back towards your heels. If having your toes tucked under is causing you grief, then just flatten the tops of your feet. Alrighty? So take your hips back and keep them back. Now, on an inhale, you're going to round, on an exhale, round your shoulders, let your head drop. Imagine you're bringing your collarbones towards your hips. And on an inhale, keep your hips back. You're going to bring your butt up. You're going to draw your heart center forward, and you're going to spread through your collarbones. Exhaling, rounding, separating the shoulder blades, letting the head just drop. Inhaling, keep your hips back. Try to use your breath to relax and really be able to embody this. So you're spreading your collarbones. Exhale, rounding. Let your head drop. So you're really focusing on the upper body here. Inhaling, keeping hips back over heels. Last time, rounding the spine. And last time, inhaling. And flatten the tops of your feet. And slowly come up onto your knees. And now bring shoulders up to ears. Exhale, roll them back. Inhale, up. Exhale and back. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. One more time. Inhale, bring them forward, up and back. And now change the direction. So really don't do this quickly. Feel your shoulder blades come together, your shoulders up, forward, down, back, up, forward, and down, back, up, forward, and down, back, up, forward, and down. And one more, back, up, forward, and down. Okay, come on down onto your bellies. Clear a path in front of you. So you may need to move your water bottles or whatever you might have in front of you. Now, your arms are going to come out in front in a V position or Y position if you want. So your body would be the stem and your arms are the Y. If you're able, think about hollowing out your belly area. So you're just, instead of letting it just be flat and lax on the floor, think about hollowing it out. So you're engaging your core. And maybe release your forehead onto the mat. You may want to lift your head up at some point. So you're reaching the arms forward. Your palms are flat on the floor. Take your arms back into a cactus position. So like a football goalpost, cactus. And then lift your arms up. Forearms, hands, elbows up. Exhale, lower them down. Inhale, come back to the Y position. And bring them back into the cactus. Lift your arms up in the cactus position. And release them down. Now, for the next few times, if you're able, don't even put your hands on the floor. Leave them off the floor. So if that's possible, if you're super tight in the back, you're going to leave your hands on the floor. Remember, please practice with awareness, respect, and compassion for wherever you are today. If you've had injuries, go very slow, be very careful, or skip this and any other part that may be causing harm. So, arms are in a V, perhaps off the floor if your shoulders aren't too tight. Draw the arms back into cactus, lifting arms up. Exhale, back into the Y position or victory. And inhale into cactus and lifting. And back to the Y. As in, why are we doing this? Because you're strengthening your traps, your rhomboids, bring them back into cactus, lifting. If you got one more in you, bring the arms into the Y, bring them back into cactus, lift up the elbows, forearms and hands, and releasing. Yay. Okay. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale. Let's press up into a modified child's pose. So you can take your knees wide apart, flatten the tops of your feet. Now, remember, if bending your knees 90 degrees isn't for you, you'll take puppy pose. But if you're okay with bending your knees, take your hips back. And by the way, if your knees are not as flexible as you'd like them to be, but we don't want to harm them, you could always use a cushion underneath your butt so that or underneath your legs, so you're a little bit supported and not bending the knees as much. But if you're okay, just spread your knees as wide as the mat, release your torso in between, and release your forehead either onto the mat or adding some height by folding one forearm on top of the other. And just breathe for a moment here, releasing any tension from the upper back, from this workout. I mean, if we haven't done these things and we're a little bit weak in our upper back, you're going to feel it. But you'll feel the muscles that you're using. Inhale, come on up. Now we're on all fours. We're going to lift the right arm up, thread the needle, exhale. Underneath the other hand, lowering your shoulder and face to the floor. And then inhale. Instead of holding, we're going to be active. Exhale, thread the needle, twisting your torso. One more time, inhale, sweep up. Exhale, float the arm down. Last time, sweeping up. Exhale, down. Inhale, come back to neutral. Let's take the other arm, sweep it up. Exhale, reach under, releasing side of face and shoulder if it's available. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, again. Try not to make it momentum as much as intentional activity that you feel the muscles of the shoulders, the shoulder blade working. And this is your last time threading the needle and coming back to center. And now come back down onto your bellies. Your hands are going to be in, again, a cactus position. So have your shoulders and your elbows basically at a 90-degree angle to one another. You can flatten the tops of the feet. And then what we're going to do is lift the right arm up, and you're going to press into the left hand. Exhale, back down. Going to stay with the same side here. So as you reach the right arm up, you're actually pressing the left hand into the floor and back. Inhale. This time, lift the right leg up as well. Bend at the knee and back down. Right arm up. Right leg bends and lifts as you roll a little bit to the side and back down. Last time. Inhaling, lifting, exhale, releasing. Let's do the other side. So using now the right hand stays fixed into the mat, left hand lifts, and you might notice one side easier than the other, and back down. Inhaling, just the left arm up, reaching. One might be stickier, crunchier, and back down. So I'm a little more open on the left than the right. This time, lift the left leg as you lift the left arm and bending at the knee and back. Inhale, lift that left arm, bend the left leg, lift it up just a bit. You're twisting and back. One more time, lifting, lengthening through the arm, twisting, and back. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, pressing up, and curl the toes under, roll back onto the soles of your feet. Let your upper body just hang with your knees soft and bent. Let your arms hang, let your shoulders relax, really let it all be soft. You might even give your head a little bit of a swing so you know you are not holding it, you're just allowing it to relax. And then slowly rolling up, stacking one vertebra on top of the other. Keep your knees soft, keep your chin tucked into your chest, and let your head be the last thing to come up. Okay. We still in one piece? Of course, take a sip of water at any time. Okay, arms in front. Now, pull your arms now, and try to isolate this. So pull your arms forward. This separates, and then pull them back. So you feel your shoulder blades moving. So this is all about moving your shoulder blades. These guys can get sticky and crunchy. Arms move forward. Arms move back. So you're really pulling the humerus out of the acromion. That is the socket. You're not pulling it out, but you're moving it within that socket. And back. And then one more time, forward. And back. And down. Woohoo. Okay. So, you know, it's interesting too that we're going to reach up in axial extension. Now, I want you to really kind of be able to take this in today, what axial extension does. We're decompressing the joints of the spine when we stretch. And when we decompress the joints of the spine, it creates a bit of a vacuum. And that vacuum draws in the water we drink, the nutrients we eat, into all those beautiful places. So cats and dogs get it. We need to watch them and learn from them. Okay, so with your arms up, take hold of interlace your fingers, release your pointer, bring your arms right beside your ears. You may want to bring your feet a little bit closer together. So you're really stretching here, creating that vacuum to suck in all kinds of nourishment, revitalization. Inhale, stretch up, and exhale to the right side. Keep the length. Don't worry about how far you go. I know I see people and they're halfway. Oh, good for them. Beautiful. Keep the length. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, other side. Arms are beside your ears as much as possible. Again, we're stretching through the shoulders, so same applies. And then let your head drop back. Bring your arms beside your ears. And then straighten out again, release your hands. Exhale, forward fold. If you can, keep your knees straight, tent your fingers on the floor. On an inhale, come halfway up. Let's spend a moment here lengthening the spine. Draw your abdominal muscles in to activate and fire the muscles of the core. Exhale, forward fold. Please let your heads hang. Now bend your knees. If you were sitting in a chair, knees are bent, bum goes back. You're actually transferring some weight into the back of your foot. And inhale, sweep the arms either to shoulder height, or if your shoulders can handle it, a little bit higher, palms facing one another. Look down that your toes are in front of your knees. Your weight is being mostly in the heels, obviously still some in the front. And exhale, forward fold. Let your heads hang. Inhale, come halfway up. Place your hands on your shins. Engage your core. Pull your navel towards your spine. Feel how this activates and fires the muscles of the core rather than just like letting it all hang out. We can do that sometimes. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. One more Utkatasana, one more chair pose. So really press your bum backwards. Bend your knees a lot. Drop your hips as much as you can, as if there were a chair behind you. Inhale, sweep arms, either shoulder height with palms facing down, or a little bit higher, arms beside your ears. Take a quick peek at your toes. They're in front of your knees. Nice, everybody. And forward fold. And then bend your knees, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up into Anjali Mudra. Exhale, hands to heart. Lower your shoulders. And then give your hands a good shake out. Come up to the fronts of your mats. If you have sticky socks on, if you don't have sticky socks on, then please remove your socks at this point. For Surya Namaskar, where we pay homage to the sun. And yes, it's a full moon today. Was told by Birgit that it arose at 8:53 this morning, but I don't think you could see it. But look for it later. Okay, inhaling in place, exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart. Reach up, look up, arc back. Feel that beautiful stretch in the front of your spine, your rib cage, your lungs, they're loving it. Inhale, bring your feet back together. Lift up out of your waist. Fold from the tops of your legs and reach forward as you fold. Standing forward bend, Uttanasana, let your head hang. Step your left leg back, drop your knee to the mat. Now we can skip this point, however, I like to include it for the purpose that we get our alignment right. You're going to keep those shoulders right over your hips. So you can place your hands on your front thigh, lift the back knee off the floor, and then press through that heel. Really press through the back heel. Super important. Inhale, sweep the arms up, keep your shoulders down. So we're being loving towards our shoulders. They're activated. Turn your hands forward, spread your fingers apart, take the other leg back, and then whatever push-up position works for you. It may be with your knees down or up. Make sure you're pressing into all of your fingers and that your neck aligns with your spine. Engage your core. And then release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet, take your hips back. All the way back, as far as you can. Stretching through the shoulders, stretching through the wrists. Breathing. Leave your hands where they are. Release your forearms and elbows. So you may find that you have a little more mobility already through the shoulder area, or not, but just be aware. So slowly come forward until your chest and chin are light on the mat. Slide everything out behind you. If your feet are off the mat, then scoot yourself a little bit forward. Place your forehead on the mat. Draw your fingertips back to align with the tops of your shoulders. Elbows into your side body, and then press your forearms down towards the floor. And notice the movement of your scapula, your shoulder blades down your back. On an inhale, press your hips and pelvis into the floor, roll an invisible alley with your nose, and then without using your hands, lift your head, neck, shoulders, and chest off the mat. Coming up as high as you can. Please keep your shoulders away from your ears and your elbows tucked into your side body. Eyes can be open or closed, allowing them to roll up to your third eye, Ajna chakra, seat of intuition. And one more breath in. Exhale, lengthen as you lower. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up, walk your feet a few inches forward. Be sure all 10 fingers are pressing into the mat. Now, press your belly onto your thighs. Press your chest towards your knees. Your sits bones should be moving towards the back of your mat. Your spine has been lengthened. Your shoulders are definitely firing and working. And now press your heels towards the floor. Just enough to feel the stretch in the backs of your knees. I think last week we talked about our lymph nodes. They're in the backs of your knees. your inner thighs, your neck, and your belly. Lymph nodes are like your internal plumbing. They're cleaning and clearing waste out of the body in the lymph system. Okay, left leg up. Tilt it over to the right. Bring it back straight behind you. Look at your left hand. Swing that foot as far forward as you can. Other foot forward, and let your upper body hang. That means your neck, stretching out the lower back, releasing the compression of the spine. Now bring your arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Pull your bellies in. On an inhale, sweep the arms in front, reaching up, feet apart for balance. Look up, arc back. Inhale, bring your feet back together. Lift out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, hands in prayer. Let's do one more round. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. Starting at the front of your mats. Come on up to the front of your mat so you don't run out of mat. Runway. Step your feet apart. Reach your arms up, look up, and arc back. Inhale, bring your feet back together. Lift out of your waist, fold from your hips, reaching forward as you fold. Please let your heads hang. Again, give your head a swing if you don't know if you're holding it. I want you to let go. Step your right leg back, drop the knee to the mat. Bring your hands onto your front knee. Focus your gaze for balance. As you lift that back knee off the floor, press through the heel. That is going to be your anchor. Inhale, sweep the arms up, fingers are active. Press through that back heel, keep pressing through the back heel. Keep your upper body straight up and down, shoulders right over your hips. Turn your hands forward, spread your fingers apart, and take that front leg back. And again, taking whatever plank works for you today. If you have wrist or shoulder issues, you're going to bring your knees to the ground and perhaps cross your ankles. Reaching through the crown of your head, not letting your head poke up nor hang down. It's neutral, it's aligned with your spine. Engage your core. So your abdominal muscles are firing. You're also protecting your lower back when you strengthen your abdominal muscles. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet. Slowly take your hips back towards your heels. When we move slowly, there are no surprises for the body. Just breathe here, enjoy the decompression of the spine. So joint decompression, remember, it's a vacuum, it becomes a vacuum, creating space to draw in nutrients, water, and oxygen into these joints. Leave your hands where they are, lower your forearms and elbows, and slowly come forward, keeping your bum up in the air. So clearly this is a position, if we have very tight shoulders, rounded backs, it's going to feel hard and awkward, but eventually we can correct, open, stabilize, and release the tension from this area. Slide everything behind you. If your feet are off the floor, scoot yourself forward. Draw your fingertips back to align with your shoulders. Elbows tucked in, forearms pressing down towards the floor, forehead on the mat. You may wish to widen your stance if you're considering the fuller expression of Cobra. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. On an inhale, we'll all begin in baby cobra, where our hands are not being used other than guidance. Coming up into baby cobra, and then if your lower back would benefit, press the floor away from you. Do not let your shoulders come up, nor your elbows wing out. Think about lifting your heart center. Again, eyes rolling up towards your third eye, center of your forehead. One more breath in. Lengthen as you lower. Draw your feet back together if you separated them. Curl your toes under, pressing up into your downward facing dog. Walk your feet a few inches forward. Bend your knees. Press your belly onto your thighs. Press your chest towards your knees. Make sure all 10 fingers are spread apart and pressing into the mat. And now press your heels down towards the mat. Press your sits bones towards the back of the mat. You're in a perfect inverted V shape. Energizing the body, lengthening the spine, strengthening shoulders, stretching out the calves, the Achilles tendons, the hamstrings. Multiple benefits in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Let's lift the right leg up, tip it over to the left, bring it back straight behind you. Look at your right hand, swing that foot as far forward as you can, other leg forward, and let your upper body hang. Bring your arms beside your ears, pull your bellies in, engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Now, using your core, slowly sweep the arms in front, reaching up. Wow. Feet apart for balance, look up and arc back. Inhale, bring your feet back together, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up, hands in prayer. Exhale to your heart center. Take a sip of water if you like, flat out, and relaxing. Bring yourself down onto your bodies. I'm getting charged. Take a break. You deserve it. Not only do you deserve it, this gives your body the chance to upload the benefits of what you have just done. That's important. It's like drinking fine wine. Why would you have it with a hot dog? I'm not down on hot dogs, but I'd be a tofu dog person, but you know. So lie down. Flat out. Please turn your hands up in the open and receiving position. This further lengthens the collarbone. It externally rotates the humerus. Often we don't externally rotate. So then we start doing things and wonder, whoa, that's kind of stiff, tense. And without controlling, just become aware of your breath. Breathing in through your nose, and perhaps out through your nose, or if you wish, through the mouth. But definitely do your best to breathe in through the nose to purify, warm, and moisturize the air that's entering into your warm, moist, and hopefully clean and clear lungs. Take a couple of more full breaths in. And that will do. Okay, we're going to do a variation, so you can roll up or roll over onto your side. I don't have a block, but hopefully you all have a block. You only need one. We're going to do a variation on boat pose, Navasana. So we know Navasana as this, right? We're not going to do that today. What we're going to do is take the block. You're going to bend your knees. Your feet are not going to leave the floor. Your feet are going to stay flat on the mat. You're going to take your block, so grab a block, and you're going to put it behind your head. Okay? And then you're going to lean back, and your eyes are going to lift up. So you're holding the block with the elbows out. Yes, it's working your core, but it's also opening up shoulders, chest, and release. That's just about as hard as the real Navasana, isn't it? Lots of benefits, kids. Getting your money's worth. Okay, let's do it again. Because then we have another variation coming up that's super fun. Every time I say super fun, you know it's not going to be, right? But, okay, so you're leaning back, your feet are on the floor, engaging your belly, of course. Elbows are out. You know, if you find it too intense, you can certainly come and sit further up so you're not exerting so much through the core. But if you lean back, lift your head. Great. That will do. Okay, now we're going to do a bridge position, or we're going to do a marching bridge. Never seen one of these before. This is the first time. This is the world debut of your marching bridge. So your arms are beside your body, your palms are facing down. Your feet are flat on the floor with your knees bent. Your heels should be aligning with your sits bones, your ischial tuberosities. Okay. Tuck your shoulder blades under your heart center. Tilt your chin towards the notch in your neck. Take a moment to press the small of your back into the floor. This engages your core, but it also makes the opposite movement of what we were just doing in our boat variation. Okay, your pelvis is tilted up. Peel your spine off the floor, lifting up. Now, marching bridge is lifting one knee, putting the foot back on the floor. Other knee, foot on the floor. You can do this at whatever speed you like. So you're lifting one knee and foot off the floor, one knee comes up, foot off the floor. Your marching bridge. This works, you know, because we spend a lot of time sitting these days. This is working the front of the body that is often not doing anything. You're just sitting in a chair. So this counteracts a lot of sitting to bring more strength into the front of the body. And it's working your lower abs, it's working your hip flexors. So you're lifting one knee off, the other one. 2 more times on each side if you have it in you. And then coming with both feet flat on the floor, slowly lower your torso all the way back down. Draw your right knee into your chest, draw your left knee into your chest, and do a little rocking from side to side. And then extend your left leg down in front. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. Let's mobilize the ankle joint by pointing the foot. Flex, point, and flex. Rotate and make circles. Lubricating these very important joints that support all of our weight. Change the direction, circularly moving the foot of the bent leg. Left hand on outside of right knee. Draw the knee across your body. Extending and stretching the right arm out to the right side. So this stretches, obviously, the hips, the glutes that we were just working, releases tension from the lower back. I didn't even mention the pectoralis muscles, but they are strengthened in plank posture. And obviously they're in the front of the body. Chest. Inhale, come back to center. Keep the right knee in, draw the left knee in, extend the right leg in front. Interlock your fingers 2 inches below the left knee, and let's point the foot of the left foot. Flex, point, flex, point, flex, and rotate. And change the direction. And then with your right hand on the outside of your left knee, so it's opposite hand to leg, draw that knee across the body, extending the left arm out to the left side. Keep your right hand on top of the outside of that knee to release a little more of what we don't need in the hip, the thigh, or the butt. Notice through your breath and just the holding what your body is able to let go of. Inhale, come back to center. Keep the left knee drawn in. Bring the right knee up. Bring your arms inside. Take hold of your insteps. If you're unable to reach your insteps, grab your ankles and then attempt to bring your ankles directly over your knees. The soles of your feet are facing the ceiling. This is happy baby pose. Beautiful release for the lower back. Safe stretch for those tight hamstrings. The knees are just grazing the rib cage. So your feet are only about 2 feet apart, maybe 2.5. Okay, and release. And then either roll over onto your side or bring your hands underneath the backs of your thighs. Chaturanga. If any of you have gone to very active yoga classes, and their vinyasas are all downward dog, chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog, chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. Great. I don't love that. I find it stressful to the body, if not violent. But chaturanga, and I have never been really successful. I've worked at it a little bit. We're not going to work at it the way I'm going to show you right now, but I want you to know that your elbows should not wing out. And that's your chaturanga, so I didn't come down as smooth. But we're just going to do it from our knees. That's it. But the strengthening that we can achieve. Now, if you have wrist or shoulder issues, please choose a twist position, choose a forward fold, whatever you would like to do that we haven't done. Because if you have a wrist or shoulder position, this isn't for you today, and maybe never. But you're on your knees, so shoulders are back, shoulder blades are down, your shoulders, your elbows, and by the way, we're not coming all the way down. In fact, I don't want your body to go below your shoulders, okay? Your body is not going to go lower than your shoulders. Got it? So you're lowering down. Okay, elbows need to stay in. Don't let your elbows wing out, and don't let your shoulders come up. So your elbows actually go back. They go backwards, backwards. elbows go backwards. So have a look, take a break for a moment. I get that shoulders going out, I got it. But you really want to keep your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders in alignment. So don't go lower than you can go. And by the way, please don't let your head hang. Keep it aligned with your spine. Come back and take a break. So have a look at your elbows, because some of you are still letting your elbows wing out. Make sure, if you can look at the wrinkles in the front of your wrist, make sure they're aligning with your front of your mat. And then elbows go backwards. So you can see this pose requires a tremendous amount of strength, but it's how we create strength. Okay, take a sip of water. If you have an iPad or if you don't have one, or you can put something over your eyes, bring yourself down into your final asana, Shavasana. And good work, everybody. I hope you feel a little more open through your back. Obviously, if you can practice this again, you will see more benefits. The body has an amazing ability to respond when we give it what it needs. So while you're in Shavasana, flat out and relaxing, close your eyes. If you have something to place over your eyes, please do so. And if it's okay, turn your palms up in the open and receiving position. Let your feet splay out. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax your jaw. And let your bodies be soft and heavy. So yoga is a whole lot more than just physical exercise. And I spoke a few weeks ago about the 8 rungs of the ladder, Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs, so 8 limbs of yoga. Asanas are the 3rd limb. The first 2 limbs are yamas and niyamas. And you can think of them as a guide or an instruction manual as a way of life. They're very similar to the 10 Commandments, which I don't know how many people even know the 10 Commandments anymore, because I don't hear of them, even though I come to church. It's interesting. But however, they're totally similar. The yamas are restraints. They're things that we should probably not do. And the niyamas are more about things we probably should do, would be helpful. It would make our lives better. So the 5 yamas, ahimsa, avoid violence, and I talk about this in yoga. If you're harming your body, that's a form of ahimsa. That is, you want to avoid violence both in action as well as thought and speech. Telling the truth, non-lying, satya. We all know this. Not stealing, not taking what is not ours. That's the 3rd yama, ashteya. Brahmacharya, not wasting energy. Now, in Vedanta yoga, it's about celibacy, but obviously we wouldn't be here if our parents practiced celibacy. But right use of energy, let's just put it that way. Aparigraha, not hoarding, not accumulating, not feeling greedy or possessive. And then the observances, the things that we should try to do, they would come under the heading of self-discipline. So cleanliness of body and mind in our thoughts. So internally and externally. Obviously not feeding our minds with negative or just harmful and depressing information. That's not easy today, but it's possible. Santosha, contentment, being happy, being grateful for what you have, not always thinking, well, I need that and I need this. And listen, I have to work with all of these things just like everybody else. You know, I see something shiny and it's like, oh, I want that. Do I? Maybe not. But tapas, having some discipline in life. So, oh, wow, that meal was so good. I think I need a third helping. Maybe just practicing a little discipline and perseverance. Persevering, obviously, is helpful in having success in life, not quitting, not giving up. So that's tapas. Svadhyaya, studying ourselves, knowing ourselves, and studying the texts that will give us insight into our own human nature. And finally, Ishvara Pranidhana is surrendering to a higher power, or at least contemplating that there may be something beyond what we think. And I find that faith, having faith, can help us bridge what in this moment may feel intolerable, unacceptable. There'd be many words you could use about certain situations in life, but having the faith that something is moving towards something that will teach, bring, result in something better. But we have to let go of our little tiny minds that want to repeat the same story over and over and over, drive us crazy. Just become aware. Breathing the life force that is free, always available. Inhaling the life force long, full, and deep, full. Exhaling, long, full, deep. Inhaling, and deep. Exhaling. So there are 3 stable positions, very stable for our arms. You're in one of them right now with your arms beside your body. Bringing and inhaling, sweeping your arms up and over behind your heads, 180 degrees. This is the second safest position for our shoulders. So point feet far, flex and point, maybe wiggle your fingers and release your arms. And the third safe position, reach your arms straight up, 90-degree angle. Stretching up, this pulls your shoulder blades apart, moves things. Again, point your feet, flex and point, and drop your arms down by your sides. And then take a moment to roll over onto your sides. And when you're ready, use your top arm to press yourself back up into a seated position. And if you wish, join me in chanting Om just one time to close our practice. And if you don't feel like singing, it is just as powerful to visualize silently this mother of all mantras. Inhaling together. Om Shanti. Peace, namaste, and have a beautiful day.